Welcome back, everybody, and welcome into week number 4 of Sloppy Seconds, where we're going to be talking about the players left on the waiver wire and those that you should start or sit going into these week 4 matchups. My name is Trevor McNeil, of course, trademark cast. Alongside me is Troy Welling. It's the Pibbb cast, the backwards S. I don't know why it's there like that, but hey, we brought in the top-tier commentators, the top-tier analysts, and the top-tier graphic designers, so you're welcome. Honestly, you should be paying to watch this, but Troy, how you doing tonight?
Hey man, I'm good. Yeah, you're right. You put a lot of money into this broadcast, so I wanted to make sure I came in strong, make sure everything is set up correctly for tonight's wonderful adventure. But yeah, it's exciting. Obviously, first couple of weeks of fantasy football has been chaos to say the least. So I think these are very much due, and I think a lot of people could get a lot of help out of. Because a lot of people don't have the time, right, to be able to constantly look at all this information, look at snap counts. They just need, hey, who do I pick up this week? Like, I got to go to work tomorrow. Can I just hit the waivers? I think this is a great time to try and listen up.
Yeah, so we're going to start here with the quarterbacks and who you should be starting going into this week. And I brought a couple in based off of explicitly who they're playing on the defensive side. Of course, these kind of are no-brainers based on the names that I'm about to offer up to you. Like, oh, yeah, of course, I have that quarterback. Who else am I going to start? And starting out with Josh Allen. Buffalo's #1 offense in the NFL. I don't think anyone's going to argue against that. They have the most weapons. They spent the most money. I mean, this is a team that is going to always produce on the offensive side, regardless of who they're playing. Conveniently, they're playing the worst pass defense in the league against the Baltimore Ravens. So 100%, Josh Allen, if you got him, has to be in your #1 spot.
Yeah, and I think that makes a lot of sense. My #1 spot is Jalen Hurts going up at home against Jacksonville. If Jacksonville has a chance, they need to throw the ball a lot. And I think Jalen Hurts, fantasy-wise, has been one of the, if not the best fantasy quarterback. Obviously, Lamar is the best in MVP. But Jalen Hurts has looked fantastic. He's throwing the ball really well. He's thrown for over 300 yards in the last two weeks, and he's had 3 rushing touchdowns already this season. So he's looked fantastic, and the offense has looked really good. And staying at home against Jacksonville, which if Jacksonville struggles, they're going to have to throw the ball a lot, and it might be a shootout. But it might just be Jalen Hurts scores a rushing touchdown, maybe throws for 1 or 2, and you're still going to have a good stat line. So I think no matter what, obviously the safety is there for Jalen Hurts as far as fantasy quarterbacks go. That's my #1.
All right, my #2 following up. It's curious you mentioned Jalen in that, and I'll get to that in a second because of where he falls on my list. My #2 for a must start this week is Joe Shiesty himself, Mr. Joey B. For the Cincinnati Bengals, because, again, the defensive matchup they got against Miami, we've seen Miami's games have always been high-scoring affairs, have always had to come back and fight back to win their games. Obviously, 3-0, the last undefeated team in the AFC East, but I think Cincinnati's offense, the way that it's starting to all come together, the wide receivers relatively healthy, I think this is going to be a huge game here for Joe Burrow, plus the Cincinnati wide receivers. Burrow should expect 400 yards and 3 touchdowns if his offensive line decides to allow him to throw the ball. That is a big if. Now, offensive line obviously has not done well for Joe Shiesty so far, but if he can move out of the pocket a little bit, this could be a huge game for him.
Yeah, and obviously the weapons are there. He's got everything. They spent $70 million on the offensive line. You would expect them to be able to protect him in any fashion.
You would hope.
But maybe it's just a curse, which is really awful for Joe Burrow because he's such an incredible quarterback. But hopefully he's not cursed by these offensive lines. But I definitely agree with that. And going over to your nose, I do see Jalen Hurts, and I see you want to bring that over to it because Jacksonville has been a good defense so far, but like I mentioned, their matchups earlier, they've had some decent matchups. So I think Jalen Hurts, who's looked fantastic so far. I don't know if the Eagles have really had anything that have tested them too crazily. They've went to Detroit, Minnesota, and Washington. So that's kind of your worry there is maybe Jacksonville can stop him a little bit. But I think the Eagles just have too many weapons, which is why I value Jalen Hurts so highly. But, give me your counterpoint as why you think he might be a bad quarterback this week.
So this matchup specifically is both of my no quarterbacks, my no-goes in the no-fly zone. Jalen Hurts and Trevor Lawrence both, because I think these defenses just have done so well to this point where I don't like playing either one of these quarterbacks. Now, you're not wrong that Jalen Hurts has been airing the ball out really well. It's I can't deny that he's been doing that, but at the same time, he's also been running the ball pretty efficiently, and Jacksonville's defense has been, one of the lockdowns of not letting anyone run the ball too much. I think that Jalen Hurts has a value to play, but it's not going to be one of the premier quarterbacks that you're going to see out of this week. I think you could just as easily pick up another quarterback that could do just as good, if not better, than Jalen Hurts. I don't like either one of these defenses against the quarterbacks. Trevor Lawrence especially, don't get me wrong. Jacksonville's offense has looked leagues better than what anybody was expecting, but I think this is their first real test. Like you said, Jacksonville's schedule has not been very strong. I think this is their first real test against a really good Philadelphia team, and because of that, I'm going to stay away from Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville offense this week. But if they pass this test, I'm all in on Jacksonville, and I'm keeping them in my lineup every single week.
Absolutely. I 100%. Jacksonville looks legit. Like, they look very good. Doug Peterson has done a great job. And their schedule, like, and why I think the Jaguars' stats might be a little skewed is because they face Carson Wentz, Matt Ryan, and a really banged-up Justin Herbert. So in my head, it's like, I don't think their defense is as good on paper as it might be. And I think Jalen Hurts could expose that this week. Obviously, this would be the week to tell it. And he's at home, which is why I think it's such a favorable matchup, at least for Hurts. But you're right. If Jacksonville can get through this matchup at home or away at the Eagles Stadium, I don't know. You got to pick up every single Jaguar in your league.
Yeah, the Phillies are going to win this game. Don't get me wrong. Or Philly's going to win this game. 100%. Philadelphia Phillies. Yes, the baseball team's going to show up and beat a football team. It's going to be embarrassing. Yeah. Philly will win this game, but how well Jacksonville stays in it is, I think, the real test. If they really stay in there fighting to the end, I think that's going to be enough to say, you know what, Jacksonville's real enough that they could be a team worth considering and picking up all their wide receivers, as you said.
Speaking of, Jacksonville is leading their division, by the way, and they're leading their division by 33 points for. They are scoring a lot of points.
Yes, they are.
It's pretty impressive. So, yeah, these are two offenses for fantasy football I really like. So I'm excited to see how they both do in this game.
Producing a lot on the offensive side. Going to the waiver wires here this week, I think some streaming options if you are going week to week for quarterback. Number one on my list is going to be Baker Mayfield with Carolina. I think that there is some opportunity now to look for this upside. DJ Moore has been on the field for almost every single offensive snap and still somehow hasn't produced. It's only a matter of time.
DJ Moore owner pain.
I don't want to talk about it. He's on the trading block in all of my leagues, but hey,
painful.
I believe that this is a week DJ Moore can finally do something. Guess what? He's going to stay on my fantasy bench, but I think better Oklahoma quarterback wins. I'm going to take Baker Mayfield in this one. Arizona's pass defense has not shown to be very good. Because of that, it's all upside for Carolina's offense. They can't be worse than they already have been. Hopefully.
Yeah, and it's a very odd week for a lot of quarterbacks. It's pretty hard to find some value other than where you're at, because someone I'm looking at is like Jared Goff, who he's the absolute epitome of average, but he is up at home against Seattle, whose defense apparently has been decent enough, but Amon-Ra St. Brown has looked fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
If he keeps throwing the ball to him, he will get plenty of action over there. But, yeah, quarterbacks, it's a tough streaming week, I would say, for sure, to look around. Matt Ryan, if you're really trying to dig deep, he goes up at home against Tennessee, both of those teams have looked horrendous, but Matt Ryan's got to kick it into gear at some point, and now he has all of his weapons. We'll see if they have a positive game flow at any point. But, yeah, quarterbacks is a tough spot to look at because there's not many matchups as far as quarterback streaming goes this week that look very nice to you.
The other one that I would put an asterisk on is Cooper Rush, the Dallas Cowgirls, facing off against their divisional opponents in the Commanders. The Commanders' defense, again, just not very good. Cooper Rush, in his first couple of starts, has looked pretty solid. I mean, has put up really good numbers for his wide receivers. I think could, again, as a streaming option, there are not many great ones. The only caveat to this is that it is such a fierce game between these two teams, because when you get a matchup like this, they just know each other. They play each other well all the time, regardless of who's on the field or injury status of anybody on either side. It might be a scrappy game, might be a little sloppy game, but if you need something, I think Cooper Rush is another one, owned in 2% of leagues. It's going to be available. So if you need a quarterback, that might be another one to go for.
Yep.
You agree? No?
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, I think Cooper Rush, I mean, he's actually looked pretty good so far as in his short time. He looked really good last year as well when he did have to come in when Dak was injured. He looked decent enough, and he's been, good enough. He's basically just been able to get the Cowboys through these weeks without Dak. So that's all you could really ask for. You know, there's all these options like Jacoby Brissett and Mitchell Trubisky that you're you're just like, man, would I rather go with one of those guys? Marcus Mariota has been someone I've been thinking about streaming. He's been
Yeah.
at that mid wage value of like, he's decent enough, but not great. And I think that's where a lot of the streaming options are right now in fantasy football at quarterback. It's kind of just a minefield where a lot of these quarterbacks are just average at the moment. Like there's not a lot of quarterback. Russell Wilson's in that mix even. I mean, as a Wilson owner in a couple leagues, it is it's very odd for fantasy quarterbacks because the guys that you drafted high are doing great. Lamar Jackson, obviously Kyler owners are not too happy about that one, but Jalen Hurts, all these top quarterbacks, Justin Herbert even without his injury, it has looked very good. But yeah, it makes it very interesting to see what quarterbacks look like this week.
Well, let us know if you think that there is someone else better that could be streaming from week to week, or if you're equally disappointed with Kyler's performance. Of course, Modern Warfare 2 right around the corner, so you can't expect Kyler to be good forever. It's a Call of Duty time of year. Be sure to leave a comment, subscribe, of course, hit that bell icon to get notifications every time I post a video. That is all we got here for the quarterback rendition of Sloppy Seconds, and there will be more to come soon. You can go ahead and click on my channel. Running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, defenses, all of the above is there for your choosing. We'll see you next time.